Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Look at my crazy hair. Oh my gosh. Darlene Jolene Joe. That's who I named this hair over here after. I mean, there is no real Darlene Jolene Joe, you know, but I named her. Well, actually, this is her sister, Sheila Marie. Darlene Jolene Joe is usually over here. I don't know why it's swooping over tonight. I did my hair to go to the meeting, to go to my meeting tonight, and then I came home, and after I ate and watched The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, I laid down and completely crashed out and fell asleep, completely fell asleep, and I woke up to, what did I call her? Sheila Ann? I woke up to Sheila visiting me over here. Let's see if we can smooth her out. Anyway, how are you guys doing this evening? I took the dogs out right before I left, and I started my car and I warmed it up. Because sometimes it is so cold to get into late at night when I vlog, that I have to drive it around for like 10 minutes for it to warm up. So I warmed it up, and then I got in here, and it's like, I almost took my coat off before I started vlogging because I was like, it's so hot in here. I have two, you guys, are you ready? Limoncello LaCroix. There's one, and here's two. Let's see if I can pick them up both with one hand. Look at that. So excited, and I just can't hide it. Maybe this will pick up as my thumbnail. Like a Peter Review stuff thumbnail. Here, I'm gonna have the... Oh man. Let's see. I'm almost out of lip gloss again. I can hardly believe it. I have two other lip gloss, like brand new lip glosses from Lunar Beauty. Are they in the kitchen, or did I take them upstairs? I think they're still in the kitchen. This one is like, there's nothing in it left. Did you guys have a good day today? Are you having a good day today, depending on when you're watching this? I always assume, like, because I'm filming this at 2:42 a.m. currently, just turned 2:43 a.m. I always assume that you guys are watching it at 2:43 a.m. too, when the reality is that you're probably watching it at like 6 or 7 p.m. or maybe right before you go to bed. A lot of people watch my vlog in the morning getting ready for work, or they listen to it after they've taken the kids to school, if your kids are in school. So, yeah. When do you listen to the vlog? And do you watch it, or do you just listen to it? That is so good. I have not had a limoncello, it feels like, in a long time. This is a lemon. I was gonna say, is this a limoncello? Yeah, I can taste it. I was like, maybe it's one of those hibiscus. I have not had a limoncello, it seems like, since like early fall or something. I don't know how long it's been. I was drinking so many of them in the summer that I kind of was over it for a little while and didn't want one. So let's talk about my day, shall we? Let's see. Well, I got up. I slept in late today. We got up. Little Boo Radley was so cute. He could literally probably sleep the entire day. He just is in his little circle, all like, all cozied, all cozy up. He's so cozy in his little circle. Tucker gets up every time the alarm goes off, and he stands there and he looks at me, and then I'm like, 5 more minutes, and then he goes back to sleep. He stretches out, and then he like lays back down. It's so cute because like Tucker will like stretch out, and then he kind of like goes into a stretch into like laying out. Does your dog ever do that? It's so funny. So yeah, so I got up and took the dogs outside, and was uploading my vlog, and so I was standing outside with the dogs, and I like looked over at my neighbors, and my neighbors have been gone for the last month in Florida. They got an Airbnb in like the St. Petersburg area, And so I looked over, and the dog was like in their sliding glass door. And so the neighbor husband, he came outside and was like, hey, how are you? And I was like, I'm good. I was like, you guys are back. He was so tan. And he was like, yeah. He was like, we got back this morning. So then he went inside because he was like trying to like keep the dog from coming out. And then she came outside, and I said, hold on a second, because I had been getting their mail. And so I ran in and I got their this Christmas bag that I've been keeping their mail in. And so, do you guys know you can like stop your mail while you're gone? She asked me to get her mail, and it was so sweet, and we get along with them so well that I didn't want to say, you know, you can stop your mail online. So I just got their mail for them. It was so simple. I thought it was nice that they asked. But anyway, so I got her mail, and then I was talking to her, and she was telling me that like, she was like, yeah, we didn't like really go anywhere. We made all of our dinners at home, and she was like, we just got this little Airbnb. They got like a real small Airbnb that was kind of like close to the beach, she said. And she was like, we took the dog every day to like the beach park. Like apparently there's like dog parks that are free, like in Florida, that are beach parks. My brother-in-law and his girlfriend always take their dog to like the beach in San Diego. So, but I don't think it's the same thing. There's always tons of dogs, it seems like, whenever he posts on his Instagram story. But she said they took the dog to the dog beach every day, and then she said, but everything was like closed down really early. She's like, there's nothing to do, and she was like, they didn't want to go out to dinners or anything anyway, so they like made all their meals at home. And she said, you know, she said we didn't have any cable in the house, so she was like, we would watch something on Netflix, or they're big readers too. They both read. They're really a cool couple. He actually does, like he collects, you would think this is crazy that I would have no interest in it, but like I always talk about this. He collects baseball cards. He's like collected them ever since he was a kid. And he's probably, I think they both just turned like 60. So anyway, so he's like always telling me about these baseball cards, and it's really cool. He knows like so much about it, but he knows like the history behind the baseball card, like not just the value or the worth of a card, you know, but like the history and like the story behind why that card is maybe like, you know, anyway, it's just kind of a really cool pastime that he has. Now she reads, and she and I read a lot of the same things, so we talk a lot about books. But she was like, yeah, she was like, they have a convertible VW, so they loaded the dog up and took that car down there. She had just got that last year for her 60th birthday. And so she said, you know, at night, she was like, the first week we were there, it was like 60s. She was like, but every week after that, it was just like in the 80s. And she was like, so at night, like after we got done with dinner, there was really nothing to do. She was like, you know, so we would go for like a sunset drive, and then we would come home. They go to bed real early anyway. And she was like, when we would come home and after our sunset drive, and she said, and then we would just, you know, read or do whatever. I guess it's baseball card stuff or whatever. She was like, or we would watch something, you know, like a little bit of something on TV. She's like, but then we went to bed. She's like, our living room didn't even have a couch, just had this like love seat, and she's like, and the dog sat on it most of the time. But anyway, they had a good time, she said. They stopped on the way down there in Marietta, Georgia, and stayed overnight. And on the way back, they stopped in Chattanooga. They said the drive was good, though. Well, I talked to him about that. And, yeah, that was it. That was early today when I got, well, not early today, but when I got up. And, now they're home, so the neighborhood's back to usual. And what else? It's really nice, like, having neighbors that I get along with and that I know, you know, like, I would say for like the first 5 years that we were there, we've been there for over 12 years now. maybe for 7 years, I didn't really know any of my neighbors. And then I started saying hi to people and whatever. It wasn't that I wasn't neighborly, it was that I have so much, you know, social anxiety, so like I wouldn't just walk outside and be like, oh, hi, how are you? And like start talking to somebody. And in the last couple of years, I've really made an effort to do that. And we know the 2 neighbors across the street. Well, the one just moved in last year and redid their whole condo. And they kind of stick to themselves. But I talk to the husband a lot because he's out in his driveway. He's always grilling out. I mean, we all just kind of stand in our driveways and shout across the street. It's real. Our streets are small, you know. But he's got one of those egg things, and he's always out there grilling out. So I'm always like, what are you grilling out tonight? And he's like, well, we're having Cornish hens tonight. And I'm like, oh, okay. Or steaks or whatever they're having. And he always brings treats over. He has always wanted a dog, but they have a bunch of cats because his wife likes cats. So he buys treats for our neighbor's dogs. Our neighbor's dog is like big. It's like a big dog. And he brings them treats and stuff, which I think is kind of sweet. And then the neighbors like directly across from us, they're really nice. I mean, everybody's really nice, but I know them real well. Like, I've seen her in the pool a couple times with her friend. She brings her friend up there. And they're super nice. But anyway, and then the neighbors that just got back from Florida, we love them. They're like the 4th family or fourth couple. Yeah, they're like the 4th. Who lived in there before them? 3rd. They're the 3rd couple I can remember, but who lived in there? I can't remember. God, that seems so weird, but I can't remember. But anyway, there's been 3 or 4 couples that have lived in that condo, and then the one that Laura lives in right directly next to us. Of course, we get along with her real well. What's so weird is that we've been there longer than almost everybody. Like in the pool, like when people be like, now how long have you lived here? And I'm like, now I've lived in here since 2008, but my mom moved in when she was, you know, she moved into the condo in Christmas of 94. They're like, oh my God, we thought we had been here a long time. We've been here 4 years. You know, people are always like that, but people are super nice. I'd say like half of the neighborhood is like retirement age, like 60 to 65. And then I would like all the condos. And then the other half I would say is upwards of 80. And they've been there for a while. Laura's definitely the youngest person in the neighborhood. I think there's one woman that has like 2 kids that are younger. And then there's somebody down kind of to our right that has like a teenage, I think like a teenage, no, like a college age son, because his girlfriend would come and she would lay out by the pool this summer and then she would walk back to the house. It could be like a grandkid though too. There's a lot of grandparents in the neighborhood, you know. And then there is a woman in our neighborhood. She like flips houses and stuff, and she has like these amazing cars. She's always like, she's got like 3 cars. She's got like a BMW SUV and like a Porsche SUV and then like a Porsche Carrera. And I talked to her one day. She's really nice. She like flips houses and stuff. Oh, yeah. It's just it's funny. I never thought that I cared much. You know, when I was a kid, of course, I was like, with my 2 girlfriends, we would walk around and talk to everybody, and it was like I knew all the neighbors and all that kind of stuff. Do you not just remember? Do you ever have like weird memories of stuff? We like rarely had block parties. I think we only ever maybe had like 1 block party on our street when we were growing up, when I was growing up. But like our neighbors were all like real close and stuff. I've told the story on here before. I'm not going to tell the whole story again, but I was young at the time. I was like 8. Because my dad had just left. He had been gone for like a year. And this was like there was like one kid that was like a year younger than me, and then this one all the way up to like 14-year-olds probably. And there was like 6 or 7 or 8 of us. And like some people like stole, I think I took like a beer or 2 from my mom and like cigarettes. Like they had asked me to get that, and so I offered, I don't really remember. And then some other kids brought some other stuff, and so we like all got together like in the woods, and we were like drinking this beer and like smoking these cigarettes, and we got caught and we got in trouble. Like some parent found us or something, and like all of the kids collectively said it was my fault because I was the one that had brought the cigarettes and the beer. And I would like ride my, it was bad. It was like for a while it was real bad. I don't know why I just remember this about the block party. I mean, it's not like I've forgotten it, but it's weird that I remembered it right now. So this is like stuff that like, it sounds so dumb, but like really, honestly, like I think it's more detrimental like than we ever give credit for it, you know? I need this lip gloss is gone. I need to get some more lip gloss because my lips are kind of dry. Oh, here's my sparkly lip gloss from Anthropology. I'm actually gonna just take this lip gloss, this Lunar Beauty lip gloss. Like I have to show it to you like I'm doing a makeup haul. I'm gonna put it over here and just throw it out because it is gone. But anyway, I think this stuff is sometimes more detrimental than when we want to give it credit, you know, like, because I think it really fed into me being overly concerned what people thought of me growing up. But anyway, I remember like when it all came out, like my dad came over. I think my mom, like I think she told me later she was kind of overwhelmed because like the parents were giving her a hard time about it. And my mom already like, she was like one of the first, like they were one of the first divorced people. And like I can remember being in school and like whenever I would say about my parents being divorced, like it was like this really weird thing. I mean, I'm sure like in the world at that time, the late 70s, like there were a lot of people that were getting divorced and separated, but like I remember the battery is already, I knew I should have put a brand new battery in when I left. I don't remember what I filmed before, but I have another battery. So anyway, but I can remember that there weren't really that many like separated or divorced parents. Like I think like there was like 1 or 2 other ones in my class, and we kind of like knew that we were like, it was like we were different than most families or something. And I can just remember like kids thought it was weird that my parents were separated and getting divorced. I also always thought my parents were like so much older than other parents too. My parents waited. They had been married 5 years when they had me. So my mom was 28 and my dad was 32 when they had me. And I always thought that they were like, when like we would like they would ask, you know, in class, like, well, how old's your mom or dad? Like my parents were always like 5 or 6 years older than everybody else's parents. But anyway, my dad came over. I can remember sitting there like on the steps. And I feel like this was like late spring, because I think it was like kind of still cold outside, because I can see him there and he had like a coat or something on. And I was like on the steps, like we had this like entryway that was like this like slate, like church slate, and then the stairs that went up to the right next to our library, which is like this French door. And I can see myself sitting on the stairs and I'm like bawling uncontrollably. And my mom and my dad are sitting there, and I can remember my dad said, you know, like, you're gonna be punished for this. I'm sorry, but like, you know, you shouldn't have done this. And I was like, I know. And he was like, but you're being punished for telling the truth. And he was like, you know, here's the thing. And there was like this kid on our street that my dad worked with his dad. And he had a little sister too, but like he told the truth and got like new hockey skates and stuff like this and whatever. And my dad was like, you know, he lied and he got rewarded for it. And he was like, and you told the truth and you're getting punished for it. And he was like, I know that doesn't seem like it should make sense. He was like, but later in life you'll understand, you know, the importance of telling the truth and all of this kind of stuff. And I don't know that I ever really got it at that time, but funny how that played out in life, right? The liars and the cheaters continue to succeed in the world, it seems like, but whatever. That right there is a truism. I'm sorry, but it just is. I sometimes look at things and I think, God. Do you ever look at situations and you're like, oh my God, people just like lie straight through their teeth, or they just like will do anything to get ahead, and they're just, you know, and then they're the ones that like succeed, and people think that they're like, just like, oh, you're so good, you're such a truth teller, God, what happened to you is, and you're like, oh my God, you have no idea the real story, like if you even knew the real, you know what I mean? I long ago though, like, I think we all have it in us, this need or this desire to tell on someone. Like, if you only knew what that person did to me, you know, if you only knew. I don't have that need or that desire anymore. I the last couple years realized, my finger is itching tonight. I started really focusing on myself, and I realized, you know, that like, well, first of all, I got rid of a lot of toxic people in my life, because I just was like, I never really, like, I mean, I've always said, like, I only have, like, 2 or 3 friends, but it's like, I had some people in my life that had been in my life for years and years and years, you know, that I just was like, do you know, that, like, I just need to maybe not have them in my life, but distance myself from them, you know, and maybe it's not that they're toxic, maybe it's just that our friendship together is toxic or something, you know, it just is like, I don't know, it doesn't make me happy anymore, so my circle got smaller, which I'm totally fine with, but anyway, what was I gonna say? So I remember my dad came over, my parents have been separated for a while at that point, like 6 months or so probably. And I remember my dad left in January. So this probably would have been, I don't know, maybe late spring, I don't know. It was close to summer, because I can remember there was a block party, and maybe it was like, I don't know, I'm just guessing, but maybe it was like Memorial Day weekend, because it felt like the block party was like 2 weeks after that, because I would drive down the street on my bike, and when I did, like, the kids was like, they were ruthless. Like, I literally had no friends after that on the street. Like, now you know, that summer, I mean, probably a month went by, and then I was accepted again into the neighborhood group, but like at that time there were like 2 or 3 weeks where I would ride my bike down the street. And you know, like, as a kid, when you don't have any friends like that, and you're used to like riding your bikes with kids every single day, you know, it's like, and they're your friends, and then all of a sudden they're all playing together, you know. And the other thing was that like, our house was on the cul-de-sac, so like, if kids were playing like a game in the cul-de-sac and I wasn't invited, like, they didn't come to my house to ask me, like, I didn't want to leave the house, because like, I didn't want to leave the house even in my mom's car. God, this is so weird. I'm starting to kind of remember this stuff. I can remember kind of like hunching down, because like, I would be like, well, they didn't ask me, you know, and it was weird. So, and that wasn't the case. I was usually pretty included in stuff in the neighborhood, but this one time I wasn't, because they had all blamed me and told their parents that I was the one that brought the cigarettes and the beer and all this kind of stuff. And so when I would ride my bike down the street, they would go, smoker, drinker, smoker, drinker. And I can just remember going home and just sobbing to my mom and telling her that they were calling me these names. And she's like, it's okay, sweetie. She's like, it's okay. But I remember they had this block party. I don't know when it was. I feel like a block party should have been more like in August or something. But they had like a block party, and it was like where everybody was like bringing food and all this kind of stuff. And I can remember like my mom was like, please come, I'm gonna go. And I can remember I was like, I don't know why, but I was like, I can see myself in my head, and I was like inconsolable, like bawling my eyes out, like unbelievably. And I was like, no, Mom, they hate me, you know, like. And she was like, that's fine. She's like, but I'm gonna go to the block party. I mean, my mom had a lot of friends in the neighborhood, you know. She's like, I'm going to the block party, so if you want to stay here, stay here. But if you don't know what a block party is like where everybody on the street like brings food, and you have like a pitch in, and it's like a street party. it kind of like, I don't really hear people do much of those anymore, but like when I was growing up, it was kind of a thing. Do you remember? So anyway, yeah. And I didn't go, and I can remember looking out the window because it was kind of like, I feel like it was kind of like up past the cul-de-sac so I could like see the tail end of it. And I can remember just like standing in my mom's bedroom looking out, just like crying because I wanted to be part of it and I wasn't. You know, I look back at my childhood sometimes and I think that there were some rather ruthless moments. You know, it's like, I sit and talk a lot about my mom's alcoholism and, you know, being the child of an alcoholic and all that stuff, but in reality, there were things that were 100 times worse than that, you know, and some of it was as simple as just being isolated from my peers. It was a lonely existence. It really, really was. And, I think really the saddest thing, in retrospect, looking back, is how I got used to it. How I became just kind of immune to it, that it was normal, that I felt that way. You know, I never had more than 1 or 2 friends at a time, and usually those friends were school friends. You know, there would be 6 months or a year where I had a friend at home that I would like call, but it was usually via like an athletic sport. It was usually through like athletics or sports, or it was through my, you know, mom. It was like kids that were friends of my mom's that I would see, you know, or whatever, or my dad's, but it was lonely. And I think that's why, like, for a long time, even into my adult life, in all honesty, I feel like, this feels like an old vlog where I kind of been working stuff out in my head, but I feel like that's maybe why I just accepted, like, a lot of BS from people, you know, because I was like, I would rather have friends, even if they're maybe not the greatest friends. I'd rather have people in my life than nobody at all. But I don't feel like that today, in all honesty. I really don't. Like, this is going to sound like a rather cold measure. I mean, I feel very blessed that I have enough people in my life today to keep my days full. If I wanted to do something social every single day, I could. I don't, but if I wanted to, I could. And I feel, with the few friends that I have, but I feel very blessed about that, you know, that the friends that I have are loyal and trustworthy, and they're just salt of the earth people. And, you know, I would say, like, I have, like, 3 or 4 very close friends, and then I have kind of, like, a circle around that I would say, like, are friends that I see, but I don't necessarily talk to them all the time on the phone. I might talk to them every couple weeks or something, you know, but, like, I still consider them very dear friends. And those people are like, salt of the earth as well, and loyal, you know, and some of those friends are sober and some of those friends are not. And then I feel like I have a lot of people in sobriety that I know that I can rely on. And so if I wanted every day of my life to be social, where I went and did something, it could be that way, but like I almost feel more comfortable just being by myself at times. And I have to really say, like, I am somebody that, like, if I'm around a lot of people, like, it kind of, like, zaps my energy a little bit. I remember, like, Michael from Popology said that in one of his first vlogs, which we are still going to get together and do a collab at some point, but I don't know how or when we're going to make that happen. But, look, that was the statement that I so related to, you know, this idea of, like, my energy is zapped real quickly by people. And, or, like, if I'm friends, if we go out to dinner, like, after a meeting or something, I'm so, like, and I have such a blast, and I feel so tuned in, you know, because I'm with friends that make me happy and rise me up and all that kind of stuff, lift me up and all that kind of stuff, you know. But then when I leave, I'm, like, so wide awake, I almost don't kind of want it to end. I'm like that, like, you know what I mean? Like, I still have that kind of mentality where it's like, You know, like, I don't want it to end. I don't, like, when you're a kid, you know, it's like you're, you know, or, you know, like, when I was in my, it stopped. But, like, when I was, like, in my 20s, you know, and I had my first apartment, you know, and I would have people over, and it was like, let's just stay up all night, like, kind of thing, you know? It's like, I don't know. You know, looking back today, I would have told myself, just go to the block party. You know, what's the worst that can happen? You can always leave. But I didn't get that at that time. I was a scared kid. You know, it's interesting, like, my nephew is, like, 8 years old. Carlitos is 8. And, he's very sweet, and I think the fact that he could say anything to somebody at his age up here, you know, that would still affect them 40 years later, you know, it was crazy. And I know that a lot of people are like, God, aren't you over it? It's been 40 years. Like, you were 8 years old at the time. And it wasn't just that I was 8 when it started, or 7, or I don't even know how old I was when I started first grade. It was first grade when it started. But it was even before first grade. It was in kindergarten, because I can remember. So think about a kindergarten kid, you know? Oh, the battery's about to die. I have to change it up here. But, I mean, think about a kindergarten kid, you know, that, like, is, like, excited about seeing somebody bring their Cher doll to class, and the other kids are making fun of them. I mean, a kindergartner, 6 years old, you know? Think about that. Like, that kid has the ability to be cruel at 6 years old and make somebody feel less than. You know, but, like, in first grade, it was like, don't drink the milk, Peter, it'll make you gay just like Peter, because it's homogenous milk, homo milk, you know? And I look at my nephew and I think, oh, that's crazy to think that at his age, he has the ability to, you know, profoundly impact somebody's life for the next 40 years of their life. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm the one that allows that to continue to bother me today, but it's like, that has carried with me my entire life. Like, honestly, like, that has been with me my entire life, you know? And not just that one moment, but, like, all of those moments that happened together. And I think, I don't know, I wish maybe I would have opened up to some of the counselors when I was growing up. You know, I was always having to go to counselors when I was growing up. But it was always because of my parents, like, getting divorced. It was always because of that. I wish, like, I would have opened up to those counselors and been like, yeah, I made fun of every single day, and kids don't want to be my friend, and it's lonely. I mean, I never talked about any of that, you know? I don't know, maybe if I had given it a try, things would have been better. It was funny because, like, when I talked about this on here, it was like, God, probably 2 months ago, I was watching an episode of My So-Called Life. I bought that whole season and then I never even finished it, you know? But in there, Claire Danes' character is talking about, at, like, what age, like, how do people decide what your personality is, like, in school, you know? It's like, I'm just gonna wait until the battery dies and I'm gonna replace it. But she's like, you know, like, your personality is decided for you, like, in 6th grade or 5th grade. I can't remember when she says. But, you know, I was watching that and I thought, God, that's kind of true. You know, it's like, I can remember this one girl came into our school, like, in 9th grade, and she was, like, brand new, and, like, nobody knew her. And I can remember, like, when she came to school, maybe it was like 7th or 8th grade. I can just remember her. I can see her, and, like, in my head. Like, I remember when she started school, and she had kind of, like, long hair and kind of, like, these tendril things, and, like, some cheesy flowered sweatshirt, and just, like, real basic jeans. And she was real tall, I remember. I mean, for that age. But I remember when she came, and she was in, like, a couple of my classes or something, which is probably why I remember her, like, right when she came. But she, like, immediately like one of the popular girls, like most popular girls, like took her under their wing. And it was funny because in the book Saint X, like they talk about this a little bit in the book Saint X. Are you guys reading it? Is anybody reading it with me for the book club? It's a hard book. It's a deep book. It's very deep. And it's from many different points of view. But, you know what? I should probably just pull in here and change my battery because it's going to die any second. I can just do it right here. These dreams go on. My little camera back. Pull out my battery. Where's my battery? I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Is it out of focus? But anyway, I remember this. What is the deal with this thing? I remember this girl moving here, and she was real like awkward and kind of nerdy. And I can remember, like, I feel like she moved here our 8th grade year. Because then, like, in high school, I can remember, like, she, like, completely started dressing differently. And, I feel like I had some personal attachment to her. I can't remember, like, what, not personal attachment, but, like, she lived, like, one street over from me. Maybe that's what it was. We rode the same bus or something like that. I don't remember what it was. But I remember, like, at first, like, I talked to her and she was real nice to me. And, like, we were kind of, like, friendly with each other because she didn't know anybody. You know what I mean? And then, like, this girl took her under her, like, you know, wing or whatever they say. And, she, like, became, like, uber popular. Like, the next most popular girl in school. Got her hair cut, started dressing differently, and all this kind of stuff. And I can remember by, like, our senior year in high school, she was such a vicious bitch. Like, seriously. And I remember at one point, like, looking at her, and she said something to me, because we like, talked. Like, there was, like, a lot of the popular girls I had known since, like, kindergarten or 1st grade. And they would say things to me. Like, it was always crazy. Like, you know, I had these girlfriends that were very different, and, you know, had their head shaved on one side, and were punk rock all the way, and all this kind of stuff, skater girls, and on and on and on. Some of them, not all of them. But, like, my friends would be, or these popular girls that thought they were, like, looking out for me would say things like, if you just got rid of all of those freaky girls, like, you could be so popular. And I can remember, like, I remember one girl saying this to me that I had, like, known ever since, like, elementary school. And I can remember thinking, none of you are inviting me to your parties. None of you are wanting to drive home with me after school. Like, these girls are my ride or dies, right? And by the way, do you think that they're the ones that are protecting me? Do you really think the reason why people don't like me is because of my girlfriends that might be a little freaky? Like, listen, okay, that's not why people are making fun of me. So anyway, I can remember she said that to me, this one girl, but not that. Oh my Lord, I said this girl's name. Anyway, but that wasn't this girl. That was this girl that I had known, like, from elementary school all the way through. But I can remember, like, my senior year in high school, this girl looked at me, the one that I was talking about that, like, moved here and whatever. And, I mean, and I don't know what her high school experience was like, but it seemed easy peasy to me, you know? Like, it seemed like everything was just, you know, she had the, you know, best looking boyfriends and, you know, all this kind of stuff, and had friends surrounding her, and was invited to all the parties, and she seemed to be having fun a lot. And I can remember she said something to me, and it was very, like, judgmental. That urgent care. Oh, now the sign's off of the urgent care. They must have just forgotten to turn it off last night. But I remember she said something to me, and it was, like, really judgmental. And I can remember looking at her and thinking to myself, like, in my head, because of course I would never have said it back to somebody. I can remember thinking to myself in my head, like, who decided that you got to be popular? Like, you know, just because you moved here and the most popular girl, you know, took you under her wing and whatever, like, oh, so that's why you got to have an easier time in high school than I did? Like, you know, but the reality is that's just how the world is. That's how the world works, you know? I always had a special place in my heart for, like, the really popular girls, especially, that, and there were a couple of really popular guys too that were like this, like really like sporty athletic guys, you know. But the really athletic, or the really popular girls, there was a couple of them that were, and I think back on this, and it's like so crazy that I felt this way, but they just were very nice and very gracious to me, you know, always, no matter what. God knows, I don't know what they were saying behind my back, but to my face, and it seemed like they were very friendly, very nice, you know, always. Isn't that sad that I look at that and I go, God, they were really good people for being nice to me. Why would I expect anything less from somebody that people would be nice to each other in the world, you know? But anyway, and there were a couple guys too that were just always very few of them would stand up to their friends and be like, you guys stop. Like that story that you hear about in high school, you know, like with the one like athlete that's like, you guys stop picking on, you know, let's stop being, you know, no, that didn't happen with me. You know, it's weird when I think about like coming out, because, you know, I came out after high school and it was so freeing, and it wasn't just freeing because of being out, but it was freeing because I could totally be like, I felt like for once in my life I could be who I was, and I didn't have to answer to those people because I wasn't seeing them every day in high school, which I think is part of why I didn't come out in high school. But like, I don't know that I can really imagine coming out, like even to my family then. Like, I think that would have been really, really hard for me. That wasn't like it, as accepting as my family was, and as accepting as my friends were and stuff, and most of them said they already knew, it was, or they thought, you know, it wasn't easy for me. It was terrifying for me to say the words, you know, to say them out loud. I can remember saying them in the bathroom, like to myself, you know, like I'm gay, and I can remember I almost couldn't even say it out loud. It's just like, I look back on that, it's just crazy, you know. I think there's so much, like I said this in a video the other day, I think there's so much shame associated with people putting us down for this thing about ourselves that we know that we can't change, that like the opposite of shame is pride. And so, like, because people are like, well, what's your gay pride day for? Like, well, you know, we're gonna have straight pride. And I'll go, organize it, have your straight pride parades, and let me know how that works out for you, because parades are a lot of work to put together. But I wish you all the best on your endeavors, you know. But it's like, no, it's like, the idea of pride is the celebration of the opposite, the celebration of getting over the opposite of that, which is shame, you know. And so many of us lived in shame for many, many years about just who we were at our core, you know. So to be able to be proud of that and say I'm proud of who I am, and I love who I am, and I accept who I am, like, that's a big deal, you know. And that was kind of like a full circle moment for me. It really, really was. It was like more liberating than I think I've ever shared in videos or talked about. It's like, it was really kind of like, I can remember after I told my dad and my stepmom, and then I told my mom on the same day. It was my 18th birthday. And I had told my friends like the night before. And I can remember after I left my mom's house, I just felt like my entire life had changed. And like, I literally felt like my entire life had changed. It was amazing, you know. We had such a great meeting tonight. I didn't sit in the same group with Tanya. We split up into smaller groups. I didn't sit in the same group as her. But, it was good. I've been thinking a lot about God moments today. And I brought this up in the meeting tonight too, because about wanting to be inspired and motivated by hearing other people share their God moments. So a God moment is like something that happens, like what we would call as a coincidence, like a positive coincidence in the world. But in recovery, a lot of times we say there are no coincidences. Those are God moments. Those are things that, like, miracles. You know? And I had been reading this story by this guy that was talking about how basically these different God moments of kind of like happening upon, like, running into people that happened to be in recovery, like, got him into recovery. And it was like these mysterious God moments that he had. I can't remember what he called it in the story, but anyway, so I was sharing about that. And you know, it's like I talk a lot about, like, how I have a life beyond my wildest dreams, and I don't know that what I'm about to say will, it'll make sense to everybody, but I don't think it'll really resonate, what I'm going to say, unless you're in sobriety. But this is actually not just applicable to sobriety. It's applicable, I think, to anything in life. But I was saying how, it's so hot in this car. I was saying how, you know, it's interesting because I do a lot for my sobriety. I don't do as much as some people do, you know? Go to a couple meetings a week, have a sponsor, I'm sponsorable, you know, work with others, read the text, service work, all that, right? Practice steps in my life, things like that. But when you talk about, like, there's certain pages dedicated to this where, like, at the end of the day of literature, recovery literature, but at the end of your day you look back and you ask yourself certain questions, like, was I kind today? Do I owe somebody an amends? Or there are things that I kept to myself that I should have shared with others? There are things that I could have done differently. And, like, I rarely do that. Like, rarely, almost if ever, you know? And there was a period about 2 years ago where I did a written gratitude list every single night. I read it out loud to myself. I then got on my knees on the steps before I went upstairs to my bedroom. Not just some nights, but every night. And I did my prayers and meditations. And most nights would read a daily affirmation as I went to bed, because there's nighttime daily after that, like, nighttime book that I have that I read sometimes on my Peterisms channel. And then I would go upstairs and I would do, like, wash my face, do, you know, like a hydrating face mask, drink a glass of water. I would plug in my phone, so I wasn't on my phone for, like, the last 20 minutes before I went to bed. And, you know, and I still try to do all that, but, like, I haven't been doing the hydrating face mask. I mean, it's been a while since I've done all that. But just relaxing, you know, and taking those moments for myself to physically relax. And then I would lay in bed and, you know, I would go through, like, the positive moment. This was before I even did, like, the magic rock, which I try to do most nights. But before, you know, I would just go through my mind about all the positive moments of my day, and I would just try to relax. And then, you know, that's how I would go to sleep at night. And then when I woke up in the morning, I would get up and I would have a glass of water. There's something to me about starting and ending my day with a glass of water. I would have, you know, a cold glass of water, and then, like, while I was taking the dogs out, and then I'd just be kind of like part of the universe, you know, just silent and still outside in the backyard. And then, you know, I would, you know, make a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or water or whatever, and then I would do all of my daily affirmations, my prayers, or I would read all of my daily meditation books, then do my prayers, my affirmations, and then, you know, I would do a verbal, I was going to say oral, a verbal gratitude list, right? And that's how I would start my day, with all of that. And pray on my knees, you know, and do all of this, right? Well, the reality is, when I'm living in that, like, when I'm living in that kind of spiritual action, not religious, spiritual, there's a difference, okay? When I'm living in that kind of spiritual action, like, my life is literally 5 points ahead of where I'm at right now. And I have a good life today, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, I can't even imagine what my life would be, and why would I not do it, right? It's like putting money in a stock that you know is going to pay triple, you know? That you know is going to pay triple. It's like, why am I not doing those things? Why am I not doing these things every single day that are going to make me feel so spiritually grounded and just give me this, like, unbelievable, amazing life, right? Like, why am I not doing that? I should be doing that every single day. And so, I don't know, I've just been thinking a lot about that, and, you know, this LaCroix is great, but I need a bottle of water, like, I knew I should have brought some with me, but I'm like, my mouth is so dry tonight. This, because it's like sparkling water, sometimes does dry up my throat. Does that happen to you guys? So anyway, but, not to be hard on myself, but I was thinking to myself, you know, like, I have all these tools in my toolbox. I know all these things that work for me, right? I know how I feel when I'm doing those things. I feel so God-centered and connected, and then it's like the miracles are all around me. It's like I see them. It's like putting on glasses that allows you to see literally like all the gold, you know, like hidden in the world or whatever. It's like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you see the world in such a different way, and it's like, you know, like when you talk to somebody and they're like, have you ever known somebody and then they like, I mean, this is such a bad example because, like, I don't consider myself a religious person, but I consider myself a spiritual person. But you know, like, somebody that, like, finds Jesus or finds God, right, or whatever. Which, hey, listen, if that works for you, my mother was a woman of very strong faith. But you know, like, when you're talking to them and they literally, like, you feel like they're brainwashed because they, like, are so happy. It's like, oh my God, you know, and you're like, it's that feeling that I have when I'm doing those things. And it's like, okay, so if I know that, why would I not be doing that every single day? If I know that that's the stuff that makes me happy. You know, if I know that going to the gym 4 days a week and eating healthier and drinking a lot of water and taking care of my skin makes me physically feel better, why am I not doing that as well? You know? I mean, I'm the heaviest I've been in maybe ever at this point. Well, not now. I'm like 5 pounds thinner than I was this summer, but it's like, it's not comfortable, you know? Why would I not do the things that I need to do to get me to feeling better? And so it's like, I kind of had this like really weird aha moment tonight sitting in this meeting where I'm like, I mean, it's very apparent to me at all times that I'm the one that stands in the way of my own success or my own happiness. Like, I'm the one that stands in the way of that. Like, I know that. Like, nobody needs to point that out to me, you know, I get it, right? I'm the one that stands in the way of me being as happy as possible and, you know, content in my body and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, it's not so much a question of the acknowledgement of knowing that I am that. It's, but then why? Like, why am I standing in the way of my own happiness and success? Do you know what I mean? Like, then what is it about? What's it about that is it just pure laziness? Because most days it feels like pure laziness. You know, most days it feels like, well, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to start my diet today, or I don't want to eat healthier today, or do these things out of laziness. And honestly, a lot of the spiritual work is the same. It's like, you know, I'm going to feel the same if I do it or don't do it. So why do it? God knows I love him. You know what I mean? It's like, but that's not true. Like, when I really take a look at it, that's not true. I feel so much better when I do it. So then why? I mean, it just can't be just laziness, you know? It's like in talking to my stepmom, I was gonna say, talking to my sponsor about like getting healthy, physically healthy, you know? Like, I'll say, well, it's a lot of laziness. And she said this about like doing a 4-step inventory and stuff too, but I'll say it's a lot about laziness, and she'll say, and I'll say, what? And she'll say, you know, things that I'm lazy about have never made me resistant to the point of kind of like having a pit in my stomach because I didn't want to do it. And I'm like, what? And she's like, when you think about going on a diet, do you think about, I'm lazy, I'd rather do this? Or does it almost kind of like a resistance that's in the pit of your stomach? And if I'm honest, there's almost a resistance. It's in the pit of my stomach, you know? And so I'll tell her that, and she'll say, yeah, she's like, that's not laziness. She's like, that's not laziness at all, you know? That's a defiance inside of you. And she's like, you know, you got to figure out what that's about. And that's true, you know? And I don't know. And then I think I do have such a great life. I do have an amazing life, you know? Like, maybe I'm too hard on myself. But then I think to myself, but you know how much better it could be? You know what I mean? Like, it could be even 10 times better if I just did all the spiritual work on myself and the physical work and whatever, you know? And it's literally like, I feel like sometimes like, it's like right here and I'm not willing to reach for it and just take it. Do you guys ever feel like that with people that you know? Well, I feel like that with myself sometimes. Like, I can see what it looks like, and it's right there, and it's like, and so tonight talking about it in the meeting was so inspiring, and it was so motivating to me, because I'm like, okay, but this is the thing. I even said in my head, I was like, tomorrow, I'm not gonna do it tonight. God forbid I do it tonight. No, I'm gonna have my Burger King Impossible Whopper and go home and watch Real Housewives. Tomorrow, I'll start the spiritual physical work. You know, that's what I said in my head. See, oh God, that's where I'm an addict. That's my addiction right there. But that's not an excuse, it's the truth. But then the truth is that I need to put in the work. You know, it's like, it wasn't good enough with the drugs and the alcohol just to say I'm an addict, see? It's like, I have to be willing to put in the work. And I think I am. I think I'm ready to put in the work and start making some serious changes in my life. And I'm ready to do the spiritual work as well, because I felt so, I mean, it literally was like 10 to 15 minutes of my day. Like, at night and during the morning, you know? I still do, like, my gratitude list, like, in my head. And I still have, like, you know, conscious conversations with God and all of that kind of stuff in my head. But, like, I don't know. When I'm doing it and it's a little bit more formal for me, it feels like I get a little bit more out of it. I don't know. I know I feel very peaceful tonight. I feel very serene and centered, and I'm gonna get off here now, because I'm gonna go up here to this gas station and I'm gonna get a bottle of that Smart Water that pH water that I love, and then I'm gonna listen to some of my audiobook. So if you guys are not reading Saint X with me, what is wrong with you? It's good. It's very deep though. I mean, it's not like a lighthearted book. But I am working with the publisher for my February book. I'm very, very excited about it. They're gonna do a giveaway of some things, some books. And the author, actually, who is one of my favorite authors of life, reached out to me tonight, which was very, very cool. And said they were a fan of mine. And anyway, so it was just very, very cool. It was like this total moment for me. And so I'm really excited about that. And then Mel and I actually are doing a giveaway for March with a brand new book that is coming out, a true crime book. So that was exciting, and yeah. I've been working with publishers lately on like trying for like my book clubs, and it's been really, really cool. It's been really fun. I don't know why I really never thought about it before. Like, I did it with the book this month, and it just kind of happened because I tagged them in it, and then they contacted me. And then I was talking to Mel, and I was like, we should do this with the True Crime Book Club, you know, like see if they'll give us like, you know, some copies to give away, and, you know, they'll support it and whatever. And she's like, yeah, I think that's a great idea. It's like, you know, why? Okay, 2 years. Why didn't we think about reaching out to the publishers or the author? I mean, we have thought about talking to the authors a couple times as far as like coming in and doing like a live stream guest discussion about, you know, the book, but I can't remember who we said we were going to do that with, that we were going to try to reach out to. I don't remember who it is now. But anyway. All right, you guys, listen, I'm going to get off here now, so I'm going to make this real quick. Like my friend Stephanie says, some nights you can just say goodbye. So nobody else has told you this today. I love you, and I love you guys, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I love you. Bye. Love ya! I had to come back and do one more I love you because I had to. I just had to. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!